There's a kind of horror that doesn't snarl. It pours you tea. This is Whisper Loop. If you like stories where politeness becomes a trap, hit like, subscribe, and comment the most uncomfortable yes you've ever forced out of your mouth. Now, here's mine. When I met Leon's mother, she greeted me with both hands and a smile that made me stand up straighter. She had the kind of presence that turns a living room into a courtroom. Not angry, just certain. Leon warned me in the car. "My mom's big on tradition," she said. "That's fine," I replied. She hesitated. "Not the kind you think." I asked what she meant, but she only shook her head and turned the music up, like words would make it real. Her family lived in a tall apartment building near the edge of town, where the streets narrowed and the storefronts were mostly shuttered. The hallway to their unit smelled faintly of sandalwood, even though nobody burned incense there. Inside, the air was warm and heavy. There was an altar in the corner. Nothing dramatic, no gold statue towering over candles. Just a neat arrangement, a small framed image, a bowl, a bell, and a cup that looked like it had never been allowed to collect dust. Leon's mother watched me glance at it. "You have respect," she said, as if she'd tested me and I'd passed. I smiled politely. "My grandparents had one." She nodded. "Then you understand." I didn't. Not yet. Leon introduced me to her father, quiet, tired, eyes always lowered, and to her younger brother, who hovered in doorways and stared like I was a suspicious package. We ate dinner. Leon's mother asked me the usual questions: where I worked, where my parents lived, whether I had any bad habits. Then she asked the strange one, "Do you sleep well?" I blinked. Yeah, mostly." Her smile sharpened. "Mostly is not always." Leon kicked my shin under the table. I forced a laugh. "I'm okay." Her mother didn't laugh. She set her chopsticks down carefully. "After dinner," she said, "we go and get a blessing." Leon's face tightened. "We don't have to," Leon said quickly. "He's just visiting." Her mother looked at her with calm disappointment. "This is why you are always tired," she said, as if Leon's exhaustion was a moral flaw. Then she looked at me. "If you care about my daughter, you will not refuse." Politeness is a reflex. So is pride. I didn't want to be the outsider who disrespected the family, so I heard myself say, "Of course." Leon's eyes flashed, warning, fear, anger. The blessing wasn't at their altar. It was at a small temple 2 streets away, tucked behind a row of shops that sold phone cases and dried herbs. We went at night. The temple's gate was open, but nobody stood guard. A bell above the entrance chimed softly in the wind, even when the air felt still. Inside, lanterns lit the space in a warm orange glow. The walls were crowded with paper charms that fluttered like tired wings. A man in plain clothes waited near a low table. He didn't look like a priest. He looked like someone's uncle. Leon's mother greeted him like an old friend. He studied my face, then nodded as if confirming a detail he'd already heard. "You are strong," he said. I forced a smile. "Thanks." He didn't smile back. "Strong bodies are useful." The words landed wrong. Leon squeezed my hand hard. Her mother guided us closer to the table. "Just drink," she whispered to me. "Then you are safe." The man took a strip of yellow paper, wrote symbols with a brush, and burned it in a metal bowl. The ash fell into a ceramic cup. Then he poured hot water over it. The steam that rose smelled bitter, like scorched tea leaves and old cloth. He slid the cup toward me. I stared. The surface of the water was dark, flecked with drifting ash. Leon's brother watched me with wide, unblinking eyes. Leon's father stared at the floor. Leon's mother smiled. "Just one sip," Leon whispered, voice strained. "If you don't want to, we can leave." Her mother's hand settled on Leon's shoulder, not hard, but possessive. I felt trapped between courtesy and instinct, so I lifted the cup. The smell turned my stomach. I touched it to my lips and swallowed a small mouthful. It was worse than the smell. Bitter, smoky, with a strange metallic aftertaste that lingered like a coin under your tongue. My eyes watered. The man nodded once, satisfied. Leon's mother exhaled like she'd been holding her breath all day. "That's it," she said. "Now we go." On the walk back, my stomach churned. Lian walked stiffly beside me, silent. When we reached their apartment building, she pulled me aside near the elevator. You shouldn't have, she whispered. I frowned. It was just a blessing. Her voice tightened. Nothing in my mother's life is just. Before I could ask more, her mother called us. Lian's face smoothed into a polite expression that looked like a mask. We went upstairs. I slept in Lian's old room that night. The air smelled faintly of incense, even though nothing was burning. At 1 a.m., I woke to a sound like pages turning. Not loud, soft, deliberate, like someone reading in the dark. I sat up. The room was empty, but the smell of ash water, bitter smoke hung in the air. My chest felt tight, like a hand had pressed lightly on my sternum and forgotten to leave. I swallowed. The tightness eased, then returned. A rhythm, like someone practicing my breathing. I forced myself to lie back down. The moment my eyes closed, I felt it. A thought that wasn't mine, not a voice, a suggestion. Go to the altar. I opened my eyes. The room's doorway looked darker than it had a moment ago. From the living room I heard a faint clink, like a bell being touched. I didn't move. I didn't want to be the kind of person who obeyed a thought just because it arrived with pressure. The suggestion returned, firmer. Go. My hands twitched. I sat up before I realized I'd decided. My feet touched the floor. The hallway outside was dim. The altar's lantern light was on. Had it been on earlier? I couldn't remember. I walked toward it, steps quiet. The altar looked the same as before, except the cup on it, empty at dinner, now held a small pool of dark water. Ash water. My throat went dry. The bell beside it trembled slightly, as if the air had brushed it. Then I felt it again. Not a thought. A pull, like a hook behind my ribs. I reached out toward the cup. My fingers hovered. Behind me the floor creaked. I whipped around. Lian stood in the hallway, hair loose, eyes wide. Don't touch it, she whispered. My heart hammered. I didn't. She stepped closer, voice shaking. That's how it starts. What starts? I whispered. Lian's gaze darted to the altar, then back. My mom says it's protection, but it doesn't protect you. It changes you. I stared. From what? Her lips pressed tight. From saying no. She pulled me back to her room and shut the door. Sleep, she whispered. If you hear anything, don't answer. If you feel like you should get up, don't. No matter how polite it sounds. Polite. That word crawled under my skin. I lay down. The tightness in my chest returned, rhythmic, like someone counting my breaths. At 2:40 a.m., I heard the pages again. At 3:05 a.m., I heard a soft knock. Inside the room. Not on the door, on the wall. 3 taps. Then a pause, then 3 taps again. A pattern that felt like a question. I stared at the ceiling until the gray of dawn seeped into the room. When morning came, I told myself it was stress. When we went home that afternoon, I told myself the ash water would be a bad memory. The changes were subtle at first. My sleep became shallow. I'd wake with the taste of smoke in my mouth. I'd find myself standing in the kitchen holding a cup, unable to remember why I'd walked there. Worse, people began recognizing me. A woman at a convenience store smiled and said, "You're back." A man on a bus nodded, as if we'd shared a secret. I asked Lian if she'd noticed it. She looked away. "It means you're marked." "Marked by who?" She swallowed. "By the temple." One evening I snapped. I told Lian I didn't want anything to do with her mother's rituals. I said it harshly, fueled by exhaustion. Lian didn't argue. She just whispered, "Then we need help." We went to a man she called an uncle, though he wasn't related. He lived above a shop that sold dried mushrooms and paper offerings. His apartment smelled of camphor and clean dust. He listened without interrupting. When I described the ash water, his eyes narrowed. "That's not a blessing," he said. Lian's voice broke. I told him. The man sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Your mother should know better." I stared. "Know better than what?" He didn't answer immediately. He took a small bowl of salt, a cup of plain water, and placed them on the table. Then he said, "Hold your breath." I frowned but obeyed. He leaned in close, not touching me, and whispered something that felt like cold air slipping under my skin. My lungs burned, my vision blurred. Then the pressure on my chest loosened. I inhaled sharply, gasping. The man nodded, as if it confirmed the diagnosis. "Something is using your breath as a handle," he said. My mouth went dry. "What thing?" He tapped his temple. "Not a ghost, not a demon in the way movies make it." He looked at Lian. "It's a practice. They prepare people. They softened the boundary. Leanne's shoulders shook. I clenched my fists. Why me? The man's gaze softened. Because you were polite, because you swallowed what you didn't want, because you care about her, and her mother knows how to use that. Leanne whispered. My mom says it keeps bad luck away. The man snorted. It moves bad luck onto someone else. Silence. My stomach twisted. I remembered Leanne's father's lowered eyes, Leanne's brother's unblinking stare, as if they'd all learned something and never said it out loud. The man slid 2 small paper charms across the table. One for your pillow, he said to me. One for your door. Then he looked at Leanne. And you, he said, you must stop letting your mother decide what safe means. Leanne nodded, tears on her cheeks. The man's voice dropped. Listen carefully, he said. For the next 7 nights, do not drink anything offered by her mother, even if she smiles. Do not sleep in her house. If you hear pages turning, do not follow the sound. If you wake with the taste of smoke, rinse your mouth with salt water and spit it out, outside. If you feel a thought arrive like pressure, treat it like a stranger. Don't invite it to sit down. I swallowed. And if it doesn't stop? His eyes were tired. Then we go to the temple and return what was given. Return, like it was a borrowed thing. Like my breath had been loaned without my consent. We followed the rules, and the thing tested them. On the 3rd night, Leon's mother called, voice sweet as syrup. Come for dinner, she said. I made soup. Leon's jaw tightened. No. Her mother's sweetness curdled. Why? Are you disrespecting me? Leon's hand trembled as she held the phone. No, Mom, we're busy. Her mother's voice went quiet. Busy with what? In the background I heard the faintest rustle, paper being turned. My skin prickled. Leon ended the call with shaking fingers. That night I woke at 2:22 a.m., with my mouth tasting of smoke. I sat up, heart racing. The room was dark, and yet I could see the outline of a cup on my bedside table. I didn't keep a cup there. The outline was wrong, as if the darkness had taken shape around an object. A polite thought arrived, calm and reasonable. Drink. You'll feel better. My hands moved toward it. Then my wrist brushed the paper charm under my pillow. A sharp warmth snapped through my skin. The polite thought faltered. I grabbed the salt water we prepared and rinsed my mouth, spitting into the sink. Outside, I stood on the balcony and spat again, watching the droplets fall into the night. Below, the streetlights buzzed. On the sidewalk, far too late for anyone to be waiting, a woman stood beneath a tree. She looked up at my building. Even from that distance, I could tell she was smiling, polite. She raised a hand, like a gentle wave. My stomach dropped. I stepped back from the balcony rail. I didn't wave back. I didn't acknowledge her, because acknowledgement is a door. On the 7th night, we went to the temple, not with Leon's mother, without telling her. The man above the herb shop came with us. He carried a small paper packet in his pocket and kept one hand loosely closed, as if holding something invisible. The temple gate was open. Inside, the lantern light looked warmer than before. Too warm, like the room was trying to appear friendly. The same uncle priest who'd served the ash water sat at the table. He looked up, expression unreadable. I didn't expect you, he said. The man with us smiled politely. We're returning something, he said. The priest's gaze flicked to me. His smile appeared, slow. Oh, he said, it already suits him. The air went heavy. Leon's fingers dug into my arm. The man beside us placed the salt packet on the table. We're not here to argue, he said. We're here to close what you opened. The priest's smile didn't move his eyes. This is family matter, he said. The man's voice remained calm. Then you should be ashamed you made it public. Silence. The lantern flame flickered, and then I heard it. The pages, but not from the corner, from inside my chest. A fluttering sensation, like someone turning through a book of my own breaths. My vision blurred. A polite thought arrived. Just one sip. Courtesy. I swayed. Leon whispered, no. The man beside us snapped the salt packet open and threw a line across the table. The grains scattered like tiny white teeth. The priest flinched. For the first time, his polite mask cracked. The man leaned in and whispered something under his breath. The lantern flame straightened. The air loosened. I coughed, hard, as if my lungs had been holding someone else's hand. The priest's smile returned, smaller, angry. Fine, he hissed. Take him, but don't come back when your luck collapses. The man nodded. We won't. We left. Outside, the night air tasted clean. Leon breathed like she'd been underwater. I didn't feel instantly cured, but I felt mine. The tightness on my chest was gone. The taste of smoke faded over the next few days. The polite thoughts stopped arriving. We didn't visit Leon's mother again. Leon texted her father privately. He replied once late at night. I'm sorry. Nothing else. No explanation. Just apology, as if that was all he was allowed to send. Sometimes when I pass a temple, I still feel a reflex, a courtesy that wants to step in, bow, accept what's offered. And I remember how easily politeness becomes a leash. If you ever find yourself holding a cup you don't want, it's okay to put it down, even if everyone smiles. Especially if everyone smiles. If you've ever felt trapped by courtesy, tell me in the comments. Like, subscribe, and follow Whisper Loop for more stories where the scariest thing isn't what's in the dark. It's what's offered in the light.